The boy they all call the city's biggest fool storms into the throne room and delivers news that the Zhu family plans to marry Lady Mulan. They're all stunned because this secret could flip the entire upcoming war on its head. Even though everyone knows this famous guy is a bit slow and a player, the news is still worth listening to, so when they promise a reward, the boy sees his first real chance and Neil starts begging for a job. Why? He's only trying to get close to the goddess of this place and charm her with his perfect looks. The emperor hands him a random job with another son. But just then, someone bursts in to say the Zhu family's general is on his way. The marriage proposal is happening way too soon, and now the MC has just 3 hours left before the goddess is taken by someone else. This throws the whole family into a frenzy. The mom wants to say no, but the dad knows that turning down the Zhu family will look like an insult and will make them stop supporting the war. Just as Mulan decides to ruin her face to get out of the marriage, the knife is snatched away, and he insists that an ugly face won't stop them from wanting her anyway. They both knew the answer, but the only way to get out was to already be married. The dad hesitated to go through with it, but she begged him to do it for the country's sake. He pauses for a second, but when he sees her, he agrees to write a letter starting a brief contest to marry Mulan. Only the top people in the kingdom get told about things, yet both of them look away when Shenlang, who is the country's biggest joke for being dumb, wild, and uneducated, shouts that he wants to join in. Bro steps forward with confidence and tells Mulan he wants to marry her. Before the father strikes him down, the mother warns him that Shenlang is a troubled boy with a broken mind. He stays calm until Mulan yells yes, because he's just the famous silly boy from the city. To Mulan, he was as innocent as a baby and made the perfect fake husband. But then she reveals she's only letting him join the competition, and the nervous dad finally relaxes. He even asks the servants to help the boy get ready. But what they didn't realize was that Shenlang was actually quite clever, not stupid at all. He was truly the smartest, best informed, and cleverest young man in the entire country. Why? Look at this scarred face. That's Shenlang from his past life. It's a person who realized that someone with a hideous face would never get a chance to have children. Before a terrible accident left his face scarred and turned the world against him. He was once a handsome and celebrated chemist. But that didn't stop his talent for chemistry and healing the wounded, until a falling American bomb changed everything. He watched it gleam and begged that if he were given another life, he would at least be handsome. As everything faded to black, he opened his eyes just as Shenlang took a breath. He walked right up to the mirror and gave a big smile. He was stunningly handsome, and suddenly, the memories of the person who once lived in his body began to rush back. Turns out Shenlang has the exact same name as him. He's in mythical Turtle City, but the body he's in used to belong to a guy with a terrible reputation who everyone thought was useless, studied for 10 years without learning to read, and couldn't even beat a chicken in a fight, though things are about to get much better. After meeting Sue's daughter once, this simp went completely crazy and obsessed. When Miss Sue fell ill and needed a husband to fix her fate, since that's how medicine works here, our original Shenlang stepped up to take the job. The Sue family's maids beat him up and humiliated him, but luckily a young lady recovered and stood up for him, leading to their marriage, though it was just in name since they didn't act like a couple at all. Yet the delusional Shenlang was perfectly happy just seeing her face every day. Half a month later, a strange sickness that no one could heal struck him, which is when our reincarnated Dr. Boy stepped into his body. As our hero sat there daydreaming about marrying a wealthy beauty, he suddenly froze when he heard footsteps approaching outside. He heads to eavesdrop, where he overhears two maids loudly arguing that he should have died long ago. These girls are out there calling him useless and unworthy of being part of the Sue family, even as they check to see if he's dead. The door creaks open, caught in a moment of surprise. Our boys stood there looking strong and healthy. The maids go completely crazy, screaming and scrambling away as if they'd seen a ghost. They shout that this idiot is still alive. Shenlang stood there completely bewildered, wondering if those maids had really just tried to kill him. Just as he was about to lose his mind to fear, he spots something strange. He carried his real laptop, not just a picture of it, leaving it exactly as he found it when he came from Earth. Then he suddenly notices his eyes have changed. When he gazes at things, they seem to vanish right before his eyes. My guy can see right through walls like he has X-ray vision. It turns out the X-ray machine from his lab merged with him while he traveled through time, along with the missile that ended his life. Now he has a built-in medical scanner, but the best part is just around the corner. The computer is linked to his X-ray eyes, so whenever he looks at something, he instantly knows exactly what it is and all its technical details. Right then, someone walked in and Shenlong's eyes instantly locked onto the phrase 36D. And I'm not kidding around. Rose's reincarnated superpowers immediately jumped in to spot all the important details. The man, his wife, and Su Kanshin, whose X-ray vision seems to pick and choose what it sees. She is so worried about him that it is clear she cares deeply for his well-being. As soon as the maid whispered that Shinlang had woken up, she rushed straight for the doctor. The doctor checks him out, making about 15 funny faces before finally declaring that Shinlang is totally okay. Su Kanchan's expression shifts instantly as she turns to the doctor with a suspicious glare, asking, "How could this be possible?" Before Su Kanchan realizes she just gave herself away and quickly changes the subject. She starts fake crying and acts like a worried wife. But our boy isn't the same dumb kid he used to be. With his super X-ray eyes and the brilliant Dr. Brain, he can see right through her lies. He sat there watching her and cursing the original idiot who fell so hard for her that he completely missed this huge red flag. While they talk, Shinlang suddenly figures out what Su Kanchan is really planning. She's throwing out big clues that he's supposed to leave, but our guy acts dumb and pretends he gets nothing, making her wonder why he isn't catching on. That's when the door gets caught. A man strides in, snaps at the fool to stop wasting time, and then steps right up to Su Kanchan and kisses her straight into Leiji. Then the boy points and casually drops that she's his fiancée now, telling the other guy to get lost. Shinlang just stood there, stunned to realize he'd already been cheated on before he could even enjoy his new marriage. It turns out Su Kanchan was just sick and needed a temporary husband for luck, but now that she's better, he's being kicked to the curb. Then this one sits beside our boy, telling him he's kind, but they just don't fit. Our boy saw there was nothing left to do but accept it. So he turned to that scumbag and promised to leave them alone, but the scumbag wasn't having any of that. He warned our boy to be gone within an hour or he'd be in big trouble. Now that they're gone and our boy is all by himself, our boy leaps out of bed, completely unfazed, and with his new handsome look, he's already convinced that finding another wealthy woman will be a breeze. He was busy planning his next gold rush, but then he overheard Zhang Ji and Su Qianchan talking about inviting Jean Muan from the Earl's mansion. As soon as Shen Lang steps into Earl's mansion with Jean Mulan, his gold digger instincts kick in, and he already dreams of making the Su family regret ever letting him go. Then we switch to our boy getting fired, and the panel with the grown-ups is genuinely hilarious. Shinlang doesn't care at all. He's just walking home, probably dreaming up his master plan to finally get Jean Muan. Meanwhile, back at the Su family, a middle-aged man gazed at our boy and told his servant to look after him. Su Kanchan begged him to wait a day just so she wouldn't lose face in her reputation. The head of the family told her they had to do this just to keep Zhang Jai happy. Meanwhile, our boy was walking home at night when suddenly some big guys jumped him and told him to come with them. He realizes he can't win the fight, so he just goes along with them. But what he's starting to realize is just how ruthless the Su family really is. These scoundrels are plotting to tear him apart piece by piece. Their captain is the feared underworld boss Tian Hang, a man with hundreds of murders on his record, who is a real danger to everyone within 100 miles. Shinlang turns on his X-ray vision to get a better look at the trouble ahead and spots something strange. A silver needle is lodged deep inside Tan Hang's body. Tan Hang spots him staring, yanks the claw out of his mouth, and asks what the hell he's looking at. Shinlang bluntly warns him, "Yo, there's a needle in your body and it's going to kill you," leaving the whole crew staring in shock, even Chi and Hang, who realizes his wife doesn't know about the deadly needle either. Shinlang chimes in to say he can take it away. Tan Hang demands what he wants in return, so our boy lays out his terms. Spare his life and tell him who put him in this spot. Tan Hang bursts out laughing and says, "No," leaving Shinlang bewildered and wondering if the other man is crazy before Tan Hang finally reveals that no one hired him to kill Shinlang. It turns out Shinlang's brother borrowed 5 gold coins that grew into 100 thanks to crazy interest, and since they can't pay, Shinlang is now being buried alive to settle the debt. Then we jump back 2 months, right after Shinlang wed the Su family, when his father suddenly appeared and tried to drag him home. The old man objected to the marriage, but the Su family's guards pummeled him and tossed him out. The original Shinlang was so head over heels for Su Qianshan that he left his own parents behind just to be with her. Shinlang hears Tian Hang ordering his men to bury him and even kill his own parents. Since Tian Hang's is being merciful, he will make Shinlang's passing quick. With blades slicing toward his neck, Shinlang screams, "I'll pay you 1,000 gold coins. That's 10 times what I owe." The blade halts just inches from his throat. Shinlang promises, "Give him 3 days and the money is his." So the bandits turn to look at Tian Hang, and their boss orders his goon to let the boy go with a simple command: "Bring back the money in 3 days." Seeing his reaction, our boy realized the Su family had given Tian Hang 3 days to finish him off, and whenever Shinlang agreed to those terms, Tian Hang asks someone to bring out paper so they can write up the deal. Shinlang shakes his head and says no, so this crazy guy named Tyre tears off a bit of his own clothes, pricks his finger with a sharp stick, and writes the agreement right onto his skin. Tian Hang's watches, wondering if this is truly the intellectual wasteland everyone talks about. After warning him, Tian Hang orders 2 of his men to walk Shinlang home. On his way back, Shenlang racked his brains trying to figure out how to earn 2,000 gold coins in just 3 days. As soon as he walks through the door, everything feels strangely different. His father is very sick, but keeps talking about going to the Su family to bring Shenlang back, fearing they are treating him badly. His mom and his brother feel the same way. Even with his legs broken, the guy won't stop until he finds Shenlang. Shenlang hears every word, then bursts through the door, drops to his knees, and bows deeply to his family. They are so happy to see him that they can't stop smiling. He whispers that he's home, then goes to apologize to his mom and dad one at a time. His mom wraps her arms around him and whispers that everything will be okay. But they spot something strange about him, because his eyes look sharper and more focused than before. His brother thinks the Su family threw him out, but his mom is actually thrilled because she can now set him up with a new wife. He talked with a woman named Lu who lived alone in the village. Shenlang just stands there shaking his head and saying, "Mom, please stop," before laughing softly and turning the conversation to his father's sickness. He uses his X-ray vision to see the broken ribs and the heavy bleeding inside his lungs. Drawing on years of medical knowledge from his past life, he instantly knows to drain the blood from the lungs before starting a series of treatments. Then he looks at his brother's broken leg. The break in the bone is clean, which is a good thing. But then his brother suggests they pretend to get hurt in accidents just to get paid. Shenlang facepalms, flips his brother's leg over to stop his crazy thinking, and promises he'll fix it up. The following morning, Shenlang spends the whole day hunting for healing plants. Once he returns home, he quickly rigs up a crude operating table and begins working on his father. With his amazing skill with tools, he finishes the surgery. His mother is absolutely stunned, staring at Shenlang as if he is some kind of miracle worker. She's already dreaming of marrying the village chief's daughter, thanks to her amazing skills. Shenlang has seen the chief's daughter before and gets scared at the thought of meeting her. He rushes to say he needs fresh air outside, but stepping out hits him hard with the truth. He only has 2 days left. If he can't find the money, his whole family will be dead, so there's no time to relax. As he steps back inside, his mother brings out a basin of water to wash his feet. Shenlang tries to say no, but seeing his mom on the verge of tears, he can't bring himself to refuse and finally agrees. Early the next morning, a knock sounds at the door. The 2 bandits are shouting at Shenlang to make that cash fast, because the clock is ticking down. When he hears the knock, his mom comes out and then those guys start pretending to be his friends just so she won't worry. Shenlang is really shocked that these guys can flip their attitude so fast. He tells his mom they're going into the city. She instantly offers them a meal, but a bandit suggests stopping at his home along the way for dinner instead. Just as they're about to leave, Shenlong's mom grabs his hand, gives him a boiled egg, and tells him to eat it when he gets hungry, and looking at that gesture, our boy gets all emotional because he realizes there are only 2 eggs left in the house and both his parents are sick, yet she's giving hers to him, so he just hits her with a big, goofy smile and tells her he's okay. Then he walks away with the 2 scummy bandits. For hours later, our hero Hai Sang, the true Shenlang, is stewing in a mess all because of that simp. While heading toward Turtle City, they bump into 2 men. One of the bandits recognizes them, addressing the old man as Uncle Lee and asking why he hasn't been around recently. He's all smiles, insisting that since he and his dad are like brothers, the small amount they owe doesn't matter at all. The old man looks shocked at first, but then he promises to stop by tomorrow. The bandit places his hands on their shoulders and tells them their father said they don't have to pay back the money. He guides them deeper into the thick bushes. A short while later, the scoundrel came back by himself. He casually admits he just killed both of them because they failed to pay back what they owed. Shenlang stares in shock as he learns his debt exploded from just 3 gold coins to 25 because of high interest. One of them was an old friend of Tianhang's father, having spent over 10 years cleaning the blood from his blade. The bandit tells Shenlang that he has no mercy left to give. He can't believe Shenlang can earn 1,000 gold coins, a fortune that would take hundreds of families' generations to save up. Our boy confidently promised he'd earn 1,000 gold coins by today. Soon they reach the busiest shopping street in mythical Turtle City and halt before a fancy building with a sign that reads Brocade and Embroidery Pavilion. Shenlang kicks off his plan to make money and take revenge on the Su family right here. Since the Brocade and Embroidery Pavilion is also in the silk business, they are direct rivals to the Su family. Shenlang quickly calls for the owner, promising a deal that would bring in an extra 5,000 gold coins every year. The waiter glanced at our boy and nearly sent him packing. But the servant's mood shifts instantly when the bandit reveals he is Tan Shursen from the Black Clothes Gang. He leads them into the chief's cabin. Inside the hall, they run into Lin Mo, who runs the Brocade and Embroidery Pavilion. Our boy hits the ground running, eager to sell his one-of-a-kind secret recipe for 2,000 gold coins. Lin Mo hears the price and instantly orders the guards to toss our boy out. The bandit gets mad, thinking Xinlang is mocking him, until Xinlang suddenly pulls out a piece of golden fabric. Lin Mo leans in, his demeanor changing instantly as he realizes this isn't just cheap silk, but the exclusive gold fabric that the Su family made their fortune on. Except the Su family's version looks like trash compared to what our hero is holding. And our boy just happened to find this dye because that gold silk is just a small part of Xinlang's special medicine. Lenmo asks our boy how he could trust him, and our boy replies that if given the right materials, he can make something even better in just 2 hours. Then we jump forward 2 hours. Our boy steps out of the brewing room clutching a glowing piece of golden silk. He asks Lin Mo if the cash is ready, gets a nod from that scoundrel, and then turns to our boy to ask about the formula. Our boy hands the formula to Lin Mo so he can check if it's real. He shows us how he dyes the fabric gold right before our eyes. Just as Xinlang was ready to take his money and go, a loud voice suddenly roared out. The head of the Su family bursts in, shouting at our boy because he thinks he stole their secret formula. Our boy gasps in shock and looks at Lin Mo, who just shrugs and admits he sold him out. He casually mentions that his son is studying at a military academy, protected by the Su family's son-in-law, Zhang Jin. Xinlang's face falls as he realizes he's been tricked from the very beginning. Then Su Hansen carefully lets the waterworks flow, telling him just how disappointed she is in him. She asked, "Why didn't you just ask for money if you needed it?" While pretending to be a victim, even though the Su family already called the authorities. But our boy isn't worried at all. He laughs off the accusation, claiming his golden dye is superior to theirs and daring the Su family head to prove the theft, which only gets the head to throw insults since he has no proof. With a laugh, he called Xinlang useless and challenged the officials to a contest to see who could make the better gold dye. The officials laugh and say, "Sure, why not?" While Xin tells Xinlang that if he thinks he can dye better than them as nothing more than a fool, he's mistaken. But our boy pushes harder, claiming he can make a superior golden dye and even a rare purple one that requires 300 seashells to produce a single gram. Since this is medieval times and no one has figured out how to extract the right colors yet, everyone just mixes red and blue together and hopes it turns out right. Xinlang returns to the moment, stares down those cowards, and asks if they're ready to take the challenge. Clanson agrees, but this selfish jerk adds a catch that if he wins, Master Sudu has to apologize to him, and the Hushu clan head says yes. Our boy sets a 3-hour timer, dives straight into work, and tries to make something so amazing that no one in this age could even understand it. He even asks the officials to bring more people to watch this competition. The scene shifts 3 hours later as the Su family proudly displays their purple silk, leaving everyone in awe. Then, Su Hansen had his servant hand the golden silk formula to the official. After looking at the papers, the official confirms they've been around for years, which proves Xinlang stole the formula. Right as the cops are about to grab him, our hero bursts out to save the day. He gazes at the Su family's purple silk and mutters, "Damn, this looks great. No wonder they were famous for it," before showing off his own, which leaves everyone stunned. While the Su family's silk is just dull purple, Xinlang's fabric shines with a vibrant, dazzling color you can't find anywhere else. He challenges them, daring them to say if the secret was also stolen from their formula. Su Kayan-shan and her family are totally thrown off their game. When they refuse, our boy plays his big trick by pulling out his multicolored rainbow silk. The official hurried over to take a closer look, totally blown away by the amazing and unnatural colors. So with that, our boy asks the officials to do what's right. The head of the Su family, with nothing left to lose, simply shakes off the blame and walks away. Su Kanshan, fighting down her rage, apologizes to Xinlang and then walks away. She can't believe this idiot figured out how to dye so well. Once they're gone, our hero chats with the official about Miss Jin at the Earl's mansion, and we learn that Xinlang's bold move against the So family was driven by his personal feud with her, which takes us back 3 years to when the original Xinlang was idly smelling flowers by the lake. All along, the hunters were giving chase to that massive bear. As the bear lunged at the boy ready to kill him, the beautiful woman jumped off her horse just in time to save his life. The man who pulled him from trouble that day turned out to be Jin Muin. After they took down the black bear, they carried the wounded Xinlang home, and she even sent someone to watch over our boy while coming to visit him herself. Back then, the newly promoted Lord Wine secretly admired Jin Muin, so he personally taught Xinlang to win her favor. But his plan never worked because Jim Newland never returned to see our boy, so Wang Gang stopped teaching him and even threatened him to keep their lessons a secret. Our boy heard that Wang Gang had beefed with Zhang Ji, which is why he dared to act so bold. Back in the present, the chief was so mad at our boy for using Jin Muin's real name. He wanted to fight him but turned around and walked away instead. Watching him leave, our boy braced himself for the fight to win her heart. But first, he had to deal with some other troubles. The Aksu family hated him even more than before, so he had to walk on eggshells. Once he left the pavilion, he ran into Su Kanan. She cried and looked so sad, begging our boy and apologizing to Shinlang, hoping he would finally give her the secret to making rainbow silk. But our boy wasn't such a fool as to let that woman trick him twice, so he just walked right past her and refused to be played again. Just then, she told our boy that he still owes the Black Cloth Gang 1,000 coins. Our boy starts panicking, trying to figure out how she found out. As she walked away, the bandit told our boy that he should have taken her offer, since he only had 7 hours left before his time ran out. Egi stayed behind to tell our boy to get the money together fast so his family wouldn't get hurt. Shinlang quickly understood that paying Tianhang wouldn't stop the Su family from hounding his kin until they got the formula. He realized he had to find a lasting fix for the trouble. The scene shifts to a random street in the city. Horses are galloping toward us from behind. Shinlang pushes his way through the packed crowd and spots Jin Muin leading a group of horsemen. Seeing her, he gets a brilliant idea and decides to add a new twist to his plan. As Jim Muin's horse passes, our boy lets himself get hit to fake an accident, hoping the girl who once bumped into him 3 years ago will take him home, and it works when she immediately dismounts to check if Shinlang is breathing. She can't stop herself from admiring how handsome he is, and at the same time, she feels so relieved to see that he's completely okay. She tells her men to take him to the Earl's home so he can be healed. Shinlang feels pretty good about himself, knowing his chance to save his family and defeat the Su family all depends on how well he plays his cards now. Our boy is loaded into a carriage and driven 20 kilometers to the Earl's big house. As he travels, he wonders how the Earl's magical turtle estate is so totally unlike the busy city. The Su family, despite their wealth, feels poor next to the Earl's own grand manor and castle. Inside the Grand Council Hall of the estate, Jean Muin, dressed in her casual clothes, is meeting with her father and mother. Her father asked how her military drills went. She shared everything with him, and while he was proud of her work, he still felt worried about their family's troubles. Jim Mulan's brother can't handle the job, and the kingdom is taking military power away from the nobles. Hearing this, she reassures her father not to worry, promising to stay single forever so she can keep the family house standing and help her brother. Jin Sakai lets out a sigh, admitting his son is pretty useless. Suddenly, a servant rushes in to announce that Jin Muin's street friend is here to discuss Jin Sukai's marriage, and after Jin complains about the stranger, he finally lets him in. As he steps into the room, he goes straight to the point. He shouts the news that the Zhu family wants to join with the Earl's house while the scoundrel Zhu Honggu plans to ask Jin Muin to marry, leaving both Jin Muin and Jin Sakai totally stunned. It turns out the Zhu family is the Yu Kingdom's most powerful aristocrats, tied by marriage to the ruler and running the southern province, home to the famous pacifier Shuin. Jin Sakai yells, "Wait, how do you know this secret stuff?" When a boy replies he used to be family to the Su clan, and then Su Kai-chan and her new fiancé Jiang Jin talk right in his face like he's just a chair, Jin Sakai asks his servant who that man is, and the servant replies that he's the Su family's ex-son-in-law who was kicked out for stealing and acting inappropriately toward a maid. Jin Sai's blood pressure is shooting up as he wants to punch that guy but holds back because he has bigger problems to deal with. Jin's, still suspicious because of the Su family's bad rumors, orders a check to see if they are telling the truth. Even though he doubts Shinlang, he knows how serious the trouble is and promises a reward for the news. Our boy is dying to ask Jin Muin to marry him right now, but he forces himself to wait. He chooses to take his time and play the long game. So, he asks to stay at the Earl's home and work there instead. He doesn't just want a job. He wants to stand by Jin Urso's side and win her heart. Jin Sakai nods and adds from Mon that Shinlang will take his son under his wing to study. Suddenly, a servant dashes in, completely terrified. He tells Jin Sakai that Sholin came into the city last night and is making his way to Kuwanu right now. Both our boy and Jin Sakai start panicking. Shinlang wonders why those guys are working so fast. He's already picturing this thug walking in and taking Jin Muin away. Later, Jin Sai finds out the news he heard was truly real. Shuin had already shown up, hoping to catch them off guard so they could say no. The guy tells Jin Sakai that Shu has come to smash the Earl's mansion pillars and steal his army. Mama Jin looks at her husband and asks if they can simply say no. He warns her that they can't risk angering the Zhu family, so saying no is practically impossible. Ju Newland thinks about ruining her own face to escape this marriage. Jin Sakai snatches the knife away, reminding him that his own family matters more than their ancient legacy. But she wonders if he's really a good father when he knows hurting himself won't fix anything since the Zhu family only cares about their elite troops anyway. The only way out now is to rush Jin Muin into marriage right away to keep the Zhu family from causing trouble. Jin Sakai hesitates to give up her daughter's happiness, but Jin Muin kneels and insists that her true joy lies in securing her family's future. After a long pause, Jin Sakai finally agrees to let the suitors choose. He names 5 possible choices and orders his team to invite them to his estate so Jin Muin can pick the one he likes. Our boy, who has already picked Jin Muin as his future wife, refuses to let just anyone have her and declares his plan to enter the competition to become her husband. He steps right up to Jin Muin and boldly declares that he wants to marry her. Jin Sakai is furious that Shinlang even considered the idea, but after his wife tells him to let the crazy guy go, he sends a servant to throw gold at Shinlong's face and walk him home, only for the hot heroine herself to appear right then. Her curiosity spikes as she leans in and calls them both fools. It turns out he was the second fool, a title he carried in his village as part of a well-known duo called the Foolish Pair. Jin Muin looks at Shinlang with the same warm, protective gaze one might have for a child, cherishing his pure and unspoiled heart. She gives him the green light to enter the competition. Jin Sakai thinks the idea is silly, but since she's sure Jin Mulan won't pick Shinlang, she just lets it slide. Shinlang is so full of confidence he's ready to beat everyone else at his own game. We fast forward 2 hours and find 6 men, including Shinlang, sitting alone in separate study rooms. Jin Muin is in charge of choosing a husband for her, with the plan to pick him by noon and tie the knot before nightfall. First, we meet Wang Lin, the mighty ruler of Swanwu City. That jerk is shaking with pure excitement just thinking about beating Jin Muin. When she asked him about the Earl's estate, he suddenly stood up and started talking wildly about becoming a scholar to prove that his sharp mind combined with her fearless spirit would make their family great. Jimmy just sits there and says, "Cool story, bro," acting like he's giving a nice guy award before walking away. She turns to the other 4 candidates and asks the same question, only to hear the same bland, cookie-cutter answers from them. Nothing makes her stop and say, "Wow, this is him," until she finally steps into Shinlong's room and immediately asks him the big question. The kid's mind zooms into high gear, imagining every awesome thing he could do for her. He has powerful X-ray vision and advanced techniques that could reveal her hidden injuries, but he suddenly realizes that while it might impress her, it won't actually win her over. So instead, he looks her straight in the eye and tells her he can give them freedom in their relationship. He tells her plainly that she can do whatever she wants as long as she doesn't cheat, and the instant he uses that word, Jin Muin turns bright red. She spins around and walks away, likely screaming insults at him in her head for ruining their first real talk by bringing up cheating. Like, dude, reading the room is a skill you gotta learn, but here's the twist. Our boy figured out everything. He'd already spotted that Jin Mulan just wanted her own freedom and a husband who wouldn't bother her, and he had handed her exactly that on a silver platter. The scene shifts back to the hall, where Jin Muin tells her parents she has made her choice. Her dad is practically jumping around, asking if it's Wang or Mo. After a long, suspenseful silence, she finally said that she had chosen Shinlang. Jin Sakai made Ban so angry he nearly exploded, screaming at her for picking the village idiot. Jin Mulan calmly explains her bisoning, worried that marrying a power-hungry man after her father's death could let her husband endanger her brother and seize everything, so only her beloved can keep the family legacy safe. Plus, the Zhu family won't dare threaten them once she marries a man with such a terrible reputation. And hey, all she ever wanted was a handsome husband, which Shinlang definitely is. Jin, Sakai, and Mother Jin get where she's coming from, but they are heartbroken because everyone knows Shinlang has a terrible reputation. Jean Bailan bows low, begging them to let her marry him and spin his bad name into a badge of honor for their family, but her parents still won't give in. Jin Suk feels terrible for making his daughter unhappy because his son won't help. So when the servant says the brothers are in the study, he shouts for a whip, which makes his worried wife chase after him as he storms off in a rage. They blame their son's mistakes for dragging Jin Muin into this mess. After a bit of traditional discipline, we cut to our boy learning he's been chosen. Once Shin Lang steps into Estant Li, his entire attitude shifts. He realizes he's about to become the son-in-law of mythical Turtle City's most famous family. This new status gives him protection against the Zhu family and anyone who has wronged him, and while he's already plotting his revenge, something suddenly clicks, prompting Shinlang to urgently tell Jin Stewart to get his family to safety immediately because they are in serious danger. The steward realizes that Shinlang is about to become the Earl's new son-in-law. So he instantly agrees, telling him not to worry and to rest since he's getting married later that night. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to the Hay Gang's hideout, where Tenon Hum tells one of his thugs to grab Shinlang's family. The plan is simple. Once they grab the family, Shinlang will hand over his secret formula, and then they'll kill everyone. With Shinlang causing total chaos, both the law and the dark underworld of mythical Turtle City are thrown into complete disorder. While some are getting ready to celebrate Ting's wedding, others are secretly planning to kill his whole family. And when Ting and his bandits arrive at Shinlong's house, they think they will find an easy meal, but instead, they discover Shinlong's family waiting with weapons drawn, showing no fear and ready to fight even to the death. Ting feels a spark of excitement at the challenge before he pulls his sword and steps up to meet it. But suddenly, he gets a strange sense that someone is watching him. He whirls around and spots a man standing right behind him, a guy whose very presence makes the toughest criminal feel like his legs are turning to jelly. Ting puts on a cool act, telling Jin Stewart about his secret orders to punish tax dodgers and begging her to let him get back to work. Jin Stewart coolly told Ting that while his master's orders to safely bring back Shin Lang's family leave no room for empty-handed returns, Ting, still reeling from the shock, can only stare in disbelief, wondering how such a powerful master could possibly value random nobles like them, especially since the mere arrival of this important figure instantly made Jin Zhou and Vui vanish, proving Ting was completely screwed. He had no choice but to let them walk away. Once the chaos is over, Jin Zhou gathers his soldiers and the legendary warriors known as Isu Shinlong's family to ride out in his carriage. Ting just stands there, watching the scene unfold and getting more confused by the second, realizing that while inviting guests was one thing, treating Shin's parents like royalty takes it to a whole new level. After the escapees vanish, the guy nearly falls over, but his accomplices grab him and yell, "Yo, why did you let them go? If the boss catches us letting Shin's parents through, he'll be furious." So Ting turns to these idiots and snaps, "You morons even recognize who that was?" before revealing Jang Jin's true identity, causing every single one of them to panic instantly. Ting quickly dashes back to the Black Cloth Gang's headquarters to tell Tian Hang what happened. Right now, that jerk is deep in some hot stuff and isn't in the mood to deal with Ting. He flatly states, "This must be life or death, or you're already dead." While Ting spills the whole story about how Jin Xiao personally saved Shinlong's family, Tian's face turns ashen. He quickly shoos the woman away and turns his attention to how badly they've messed with the Shinlang family. Tian Hang sat there, stroking his chin as he learned about the Count's mansion hosting a wild son-in-law contest. Ting's face shifts as a wild idea strikes him. One so crazy he can't believe it, while Tian hangs in thought, wondering if a fool like that could really end up as Jin Muin's husband. Just to be safe, this paranoid guy decides he has to head into the city and check things out for himself. Not long after, we gathered Su Lin, Tian Hang, and a random jerk in the Ku family's secret room to argue if Shin Lang had a chance to become the Count's son-in-law. They all thought it was a long shot, but to solve the mystery for sure, they decided to sneak into the wedding. Next, we jump to the Count's castle, which is glowing like a giant party. Servants run wild through the crazy decorations as Su Cannon and the crowd buzz with excitement, desperate to find out who won the jackpot and married Jin Muin. Right then, our boy sits in the wedding carriage while firecrackers explode wildly. The set rolls to the door, and the cow and his wife walk out in full ceremony. They shout that the groom has arrived, lower the carriage, pull back the curtain, and watch him step out. The instant that figure shows up, Tian Hang and the whole Su family delegation freeze in stunned silence. Su Cannon's eyes went wide as she thought, "There's no way, why is Shinlang the groom?" While her boy ignored everyone, making sure his wedding wouldn't be ruined by those clowns. And with that, the wedding ceremony starts, with everyone bowing to the sky and the high hall, while the couple shares a bow with each other, just like any normal wedding would. Just as they're about to head to the bridal chamber and finish it up, that fake monkey king named Wanib starts to cackle. Lu Wan, the city's keeper of ancient stories, steps forward to ask for permission to lift his mask and see the bride. But before Jin Zhou can handle the awkwardness, a loud laugh echoes and a tall stranger enters, causing every guest and noble at the party to drop to their knees in awe. It turns out this guy is Yuan from the Yu Kingdom, the hero who tamed the South, and since he's so curious, he orders our boy to take off his mask. Now that Shuin stands by them, the crowd feels safe and starts shouting for Shinlang to show his true face. Then our boy turns to Jin Xiao, and she gives him a nod. Shinlang pulled the mask off his face, and everyone gasped in shock. They never could have guessed that the man hiding beneath the mask was the foolish Shinlang. Right now, Tian Hang shivers with cold as he stands in the crowd. He's seeing his problem just get a whole lot worse. But the ones who were most shocked were Su Qian and Zhang Jin. But then that crazy bastard Zhang Jin bursts into maniacal laughter and demands to know if this wedding is actually fake. She turned to him and asked why he thought that. Then this jerk starts talking trash, claiming our kid is a total idiot who couldn't learn a single word even after 10 years at the academy. On top of all that, he'd just been cast out of his own family for stealing and abusing a maid. So how could anyone like him be Jin Muin's husband? Just then, Jingo turns to that jerk and asks if he's saying our kid is stupid or if he's just jealous. Then another scoundrel lifts his hand and vows to prove his point. He says he learned from Shinlang and can prove that Shinlang was really a fool. When Shinlang sees the scholar Yang Zhang, he realizes with a jolt that it is often the people we know best who turn on us when it matters most. Shinlang gazes at Yannick Xiang and demands to know if he has any real proof to back up his claim that Yannick is stupid. This fool bursts into laughter, claiming that failing to read a single word after 10 years is all the proof anyone needs. He says he'll write some characters for Shinlang to read, and if our boy gets them right, he'll apologize. Shinlang says with a grin, "Bet, let's do this." While Yang Song quickly grabs a pen and paper to jot down a few characters. When Jim Yuen spots them, her jaw drops. The rest of the crowd stands just as puzzled as we are, since Nino and I can actually read what's written there. It turns out this sneaky fellow wrote 3 characters that look familiar but are super easy to mix up. That smug fool standing there bragging that Shinlang can't read his own words, forced to admit he's out of his mind in front of everyone. Our boy types in his cheat code and then casually reads off each one with an explanation, acting like it's no big deal. He's showing off every pronunciation and origin he knows, while Yen watches his world crumble, only to realize this fool knew just 2 ways to say a word when Shinlang casually dropped 4 right in front of him. Shinlang shakes his head in disappointment, scolding Yang Yanong for daring to challenge him when he doesn't even know what he's up against. He then turns to Yanalong's teacher, the city's former lord, and asks if he has gotten everything right. After that heavy silence, the old man finally nods. The crowd is going absolutely wild, but our hero isn't finished yet. He insists that Yang must read some characters because Yanaxidong is sweating bullets and knows that backing down now would be even worse. So Shinlang writes down a set of words that look normal at first but turn out to be a complete puzzle when put together. He tells Yang Shong that he just needs to read 4 characters. Yang Shong sees some familiar faces and boldly shouts, "I'm an idiot!" And the whole crowd explodes into hysterical laughter. Even with Jean Muen covering her mouth to keep from laughing, she couldn't stop smiling at this idiot for calling himself a fool right in front of everyone at the wedding. His teacher's face turns bright red, and he quickly sends Yang Exon away before things get out of hand. Now the teacher feels embarrassed and tries to save face by challenging our boy. He jots down this totally unknown character on a piece of paper. Jim Bulin and the crowd stand together to take a look, but no one knows it except our boy, because that famous character is well known in these modern times. Yang Shan, who seems to enjoy getting made fun of, starts talking trash again. Shinlang just walks away, knowing that some clowns aren't worth a second glance, while our boy keeps in mind that even though people say yuan today, the old way of saying it might be totally different. When Shinlang realizes the old lord understands the meaning but can't say it, he thinks, "I can work with this?" And while Yannick Zhang keeps talking, Shinlang suggests a bet. If he's right about the character, Yang Xiang will slap himself, and if he's wrong, Shinlang will slap himself. This foolish Yang Xiang jumps right in and agrees without hesitation. Shinlang points to the character and says, "It's called Ren." Yang Song panics and shouts, "How can anyone check that?" While Shinlang calmly replies, "It probably means to stab or pierce," causing the old lord to freeze in shock as he wonders how this fool could know something scholars haven't even confirmed yet. For a moment, he wants to call Shinlang a liar, but he can't because everyone else knows what it means, and admitting otherwise would make him look foolish. So the bastard switches sides and finally admits our boy was right. Yen Xiang stood frozen in place, totally dumbfounded. Everyone is stunned that the village fool just outsmarted the city's smartest scholars without a sweat. And even Jim Muen can't hide his anger as he stares at our boy. Shinlang looks at Yang Zong and says, "It's time to pay your debt, friend." While Yang Zong glares at his teacher hoping for help, only to see the old man turn his back. So this fool gives himself a bitter slap right in front of everyone. Our boy is loving every single second of this. Just before he flew away, that scoundrel promised our kid he'd make him pay for this. For the first time, Jin's father looks genuinely happy about our boy and says it's time to bring Jim Mulan to meet his parents. Just as that moment arrived, Zuin shouted out to Shinlang to halt. As the boy turns, Julin points and says, "Kid, you're interesting. I'll remember you." To which the boy acts dumb and bows with a polite, "Thank you for your high regard." Only for Sholin to let out a laugh that everyone knows isn't friendly. Meanwhile, our boy's parents felt totally out of place. They are shy people who don't want to embarrass their son. So they skipped the big party and even refused to wear the fancy robes the count sent, worried they might ruin something so expensive. When our boy reaches the back hall, he quickly drops to his knees to honor his parents, and Jim Newland immediately joins him to bow as well, leaving our boy surprised to see such pure respect from her, making him realize she is truly beautiful on the inside. Shun's mother swiftly lifts Jin Muen up, and after a quick toast of respect, she steps away, leaving the boy alone with his parents. After dinner, his parents politely decided to leave in their carriage so they wouldn't stay too long. Then the scene shifts to the wedding room, where Jim Muen enters and sees her glowing face, and even though he is a scoundrel, he can't help but stare at her stunning beauty. Jim Muen is so shy he won't even look him in the eye, so he just sits there on the bed. Both of them sit there awkwardly, unsure who should move first, but as our boy tries to take charge, Jimmy shakes her head to let him know she has something to say. She admits the Zhu family forced her into a quick marriage to find a husband, but she already sees herself as married and promises never to truly wed again. When it comes to duties like having children, Jin Myun admits she simply can't do it. Our boy expects to seal their marriage the very first day, but he knows that's impossible with someone as high and mighty as Jin Myun. He nods to show he gets it and cares about how she feels. But then Jin Myun, who didn't want our boy to feel cheated and knew how important it was to get a hair, summoned a personal maid. Our boy quickly spots the maid's attractive figure and is immediately drawn to her impressive curves. Jin Myun tells her maid to look after Shinlang safely until morning. Our boy is left thinking, wait, what? While Jin Myun shakes her head, explaining that since she can't bear him children, it is best for him to have his maid do it, so his family line continues quickly. This guy wastes no time and orders the maid, Little Bing, to help him take off his clothes, and honestly, I just can't make sense of these Chinese heroes. Jin Myun freezes in shock at the news, then sprints out of the room before anyone can stop him. Little Bing's face turns bright red with embarrassment, but then tears start falling from her eyes. It wasn't just a few tears. The girl was crying so hard that our boy noticed something was wrong and asked if she wasn't willing. Little Bing stays quiet and only cries louder and louder. Our boy feels terrible because even the maid looks like she'd rather be anywhere else. He decides not to push and asks Lil Bing to get some rest in the next room. She dashes away, and our boy decides to drift off to sleep. That bastard won't be having any fun tonight. The next morning, Jin Myun packs up some gifts for our boy to take home and asks if he has any dreams he wants to talk about. Shinlang claims he has no goals at first, but when Jin Myun looks disappointed, he immediately says he actually has a huge mission. Crush the Su family and force Su Kinjin to kneel and beg for his life. Jin Myun stares at him in shock, realizing this isn't a dream but a path to revenge. She notes that taking on the Su and Zhang families is a tough job because the powerful Zhu family backs them up, and the Count's mansion can't do much to change that. Our boy tries to target Tian Hang, but Jin Myun stops him, warning that Tian Hang is a powerful officer for the mythical Turtle City who now works with the Zhang family, and hurting him would cause a huge fight with the city's leaders. Our boy is getting fed up with all these rules, so he finally begs to use his status as Ting Hang's son-in-law to slap him right in the face. When she says he's up to it, our boys love to bet and take off right away. Before anyone could even ask where he was going, our guy was already gone. But he didn't leave until he dropped by his father-in-law's home to say hello. When they asked about his plans, our boy played it smooth by dodging the scary stuff and sticking to the safe bet of looking out for his parents. Jimmy's family thought he was steady and responsible, so they were so impressed that they gave him a huge pile of gifts. Our boy thanked them and struts off, looking fancy, with 2 soldiers keeping him safe. He had planned to arrive in a carriage, but when he saw that magnificent white horse, he changed his mind and thought, you know what? I'm going to ride that and make a grand entrance, he declares, but 2 minutes later, the guy still can't figure out how to get on the damn horse. So yeah, time to get back into that carriage. As the boys' carriage rolled up to the Black Cloth Gang's turf, the guards raised their bows, only to be halted by a shout from the Count's mansion. Yo, idiots! As our boy steps out, he flashes a big smile at Tan Hang. Tan Hang spreads his arms and flashes a big, fake smile to welcome you. But deep down, he is just itching to hurt you. Our boy jumps right in and teases him, wondering why he hasn't arrested him yet. Tan Hang warmly greets him, inviting him inside and pouring a fresh cup of tea. Tan Hang asks what's bringing our boy here, and he casually replies that it's to settle his 1,000 coin debt. Tan Hang chuckles, tosses the debt note into the flames, and declares that he's finally forgotten about it. But then our boy turns the tables and says, actually, you owe me 1,000 gold coins, so why'd you burn the proof? And Tan Hang just stops dead in his tracks. This man has been pulling shady tricks for years and has never seen anyone this shameless. So Tian Hang is forced to play along just to get through it. He forces a grin onto his face and tells his men to bring over the 1,000 gold coins. Our boy glances over the details and casually suggests that since they know each other, they might just waive the cost away. Tian Hang realizes this is a threat and reluctantly coughs up another 100 gold coins as interest. Our boy takes a sip of his tea like nothing happened, acting as if he didn't just scare that man in broad daylight. Tian Hang asks if there is anything else, and our boy replies, yeah, where's Ting? Before explaining that since Ting tried to arrest his parents, he is now planning to break Ting's legs. Tian Hang looks shaken and angry, but he holds it together by saying Ting isn't around and won't be back for 2 months. Our kid didn't quite buy the story, but he chose not to risk it and walked away. The second our boy was gone, Tian Hang snapped, smashed his teacups, and ordered his men to burn the chair our boy had been sitting in. Ting bursts out from his hiding spot to tell the furious Tian Hang that his arrogant rival will eventually face their just desserts. But instead of listening to stay hidden, our hero walks right back in and quips that they moved faster than light itself. He lists every terrible thing Ting did to try and ruin his parents, from breaking into his home to nearly destroying his family, and declares that breaking Ting's legs is the only fair punishment, then stares at Tan Hang who, with eyes burning with anger and torn between the shame of hurting his foster son and the loss of his own wealth, slams his hand on the table and admits that Tan Hang has finally pushed him too far. 2 guards from the Count's house instantly drew their swords to shield the boy. Then our boy turned to that bastard and asked if he'd thought about going too far when he threatened his family. Tan Hang laughs as he counts up the man's many homes, urging him to love his people like his own children and warning his boy about the dangers of tyranny and karma. Our boy isn't bothered by the arguing philosophers and instead watches the soldiers, who are just bodyguards staying out of the trouble. Tian Hang tells our boy to be forgiving and drop any grudges. Our boy sees he can't force Tan Hang's hand today, so he makes a promise to try again later. Tomorrow, he's going to force Chan Hang to snap Ting's own legs and beg for forgiveness face to face. Once Shenlang left Tian Hang's place, he went home and shared the gifts from Qin Muan's parents with his family. He hands his father gold coins so he can build a brand new house. He promises his brother that once he heals, he'll build them a better future. But his brother casually adds that as soon as he's fit again, he wants to marry the widow. And just like that, the day is done and our boy is ready to head back. Just as he was about to go, his mom pulled him back to check on Dasha, their old friend who had become his only one, a kind and honest guy who would literally stand in front of him like a shield whenever he was bullied back in the day. Even though Dasha had some trouble with his mind, his body was as strong as a tank, making him perfect for the hardest work. That's the only reason his stepmother didn't throw him out. She just mistreated him instead, so our boy feels worried and decides to go check on him. When he arrives at Dasha's home, he discovers only her stepmother and her younger brother there. The stepmother claims Dasha is at work, but that feels wrong since his mom just said he was in trouble, so something isn't adding up. Our boy slides a bag of silver coins to Dasha for her meals, and the stepmother's eyes instantly light up. She promises that Dasha will eat well. Then Dasha's little brother looks at our boy and warns him that Dasha might not get to eat after all. Our boy wanted to crush those 2 right away, but he quickly turned to find him. What he finds is absolutely horrifying. Dash is in critical condition, covered in blood and looking like a skeleton with severe chest injuries. Our boy checks for a pulse, and thank heavens he's still breathing. When Dasha wakes up, he's actually happy to see our boy. It turns out his younger brother, the little one, got into some trouble and ended up facing a tiger, but Dasha saved him only to have his bones broken, and since their father couldn't afford the medical care, he just left Dasha to die. That scumbag abandoned this poor thing in the jungle to rot without food or water for over 6 days. And now our boy is furious that the same family who he literally saved treats Dasha like garbage. Even as his last breath fades, this huge fool is just happy that our boy is strong enough to stand on his own now. Our boy tries to give him hope, but says he is still getting bullied. Even in this broken state, Dasha instinctively tries to guard him. Man, that loyalty is incredible. After making sure Dasha was safe, our guy just wanted to go home, beat up his parents, and make them regret everything while finally seeing how amazing Dasha really is. Dasha gives a nod, believing I'm still useful to care for her aging father, while her son stands silent, watching his innocent heart fade away even as he still hopes his dad needs him. He commands his guards to drag Dasha to the carriage, but first, it is time for revenge. Our boy rushes back to Dasha's house and demands to know if they have any conscience left. The stepmothers acted like nothing was wrong, claiming they had no money for treatment, and that cruel waste of oxygen dismissed the matter by saying it didn't matter if a fool like Dasha died. Our boy stays silent while flipping the table in a rage, kicking his brother so hard in the gut that he rolls on the floor in pain, and with a casual shrug, he adds, "Your pain is nothing compared to what Dasha suffered," which makes the stepmother scream insults and call him a worthless son-in-law who deserves to die right beside Dasha. Our boy shoves her away because he refuses to strike a woman, and she tumbles into the water basin. She threatens to complain to the Count's mansion, but our boy just calmly tells her he's no longer part of the Su family, so go ahead and try. So he walks away, escorted by his guards. He dashes back to the Count's mansion with Dasha. Jin Chonging, the head of the internal guard and a man who once hoped to marry the daughter, steps in to stop him. Watching Dasha slip into a dangerous state, he snaps at the boy for letting a stranger in and screams for him to be thrown out. Our boy grabs the guards to stop them, introduces the stranger as his friend, and urgently asks for medical help because he was badly hurt. The guards stand frozen, unsure whom to obey. After losing to our boy, Jin Shang wanted to show off his power by keeping him out, and our boy realized he was all alone with no real status in the mansion. So it is done. He will drive Dasha to the city for her cure on his own, and as he steps back into the carriage, Jin Chong watches with a smug, satisfied grin. Suddenly, Jin Sakai and Jin Muin step forward to find out what the big fuss is about. Jin Chong tells us what happened. When Jin Sakai hears that our boy's friend is dying, he instantly calls for a doctor to save Dasha. Jim Dulin grabs the reins of the carriage himself, says sorry to our boy for the trouble, and lets her know she has his full support. Our boy is truly moved by the way his wife backs him up. He finally understands that he isn't truly alone in this big house. But Jin Chong, still salty about the whole mess, tries to jump in once more. Jim Bulin just gives him an icy stare, pulls out a whip without saying a word, and in a chilling voice tells him to turn his back. Jin Chong tries to say something, maybe to make an excuse, but the moment he sees her face, he just turns around. Jin Newland doesn't wait a second before whipping him so hard it rips through his leather armor and leaves a deep, bloody mark. She tells him that our boy is her husband and his master, warning him to fix his attitude now. Then this jerk is claiming he finally learned his lesson. Once the doctor finishes treating Dasha, we know she's safe and will live to see the end. Jim Muin looks so happy that he playfully calls Dasha our boy's big brother. Our boy feels embarrassed and tries to explain, but Jin Muin just smiles and says that calling people fools or brothers is just a game boys play in their heads, before summoning him to his study. Our boys are expecting to talk about Dasha, so he's ready to defend bringing him there and explain how important their friendship is. But no P. Jin Sai is so angry about the Tian Hang mess that he's calling our boy out for abusing his power, demanding gold, and plotting to hurt Tan Hang's foster son. The boy thanks Jin Sai for saving his family, which makes the count pause in confusion. Then our boy tells the whole truth about what Tan Hang did, from the scary threats to the attempts to take his parents away. Jin Sakai's anger explodes into pure fury. Now all that anger is aimed straight at Tian Hang. He swears to find justice for our boy, promising that no one will ever bully his son-in-law and that the bully will face severe punishment. Even though Jin Sakai offered to handle Tan Hang herself, our boy insisted on taking that bastard down personally. He warns that skipping out would ruin his own name and the Count's mansion's standing. So he vows to fix things quietly without giving anyone a reason to criticize them. Jin Sakai tests the boy's dedication by handing him the massive Jin Family Code, a novel-sized book with 50,000 to 60,000 words that he must memorize before going to face Tian Hang. Our boy confidently takes the offer, knowing this guy runs on a super-fast mental computer. He's going to read this book faster than anyone ever has, treating it like it doesn't matter at all. While Jin Sakai and Mother Jin talk about this task, Jin Sakai believes our boy needs a few months to memorize it, which is perfect since it gives him time to calm down and think things over. Mother Jin wagers he'll finish it in just a month. Then she leans in close, whispers, "Want a bet?" And after that sweet night, we jump straight to the next morning. Mother Jin cooks a hearty meal for our boy, knowing he'll be up late studying. But when does she look? He's already fast asleep. She's so annoyed that he's even lazier than her own son. She tells Jin Sakai everything, and he gets so angry that he calls our boy and orders a servant to bring a whip, ready to punish him for being lazy without any hesitation. Our boy calmly tells us he already memorized the whole family code while he was asleep. Jin scoffs, demanding the whip because he's sure this kid is lying, and he's already ready to make our boy pay for it. Mother Jin reached out to soothe him, gently reminding him that his skin is so delicate and urging him to apologize and put a halt to the fight. But our boy just says, "Nah, I'm serious. Test me if you want." So Jin Sakai, angry and thinking this kid has some nerve, starts quizzing him on chapters, random parts, and any passage she can think of to catch him slipping. Our boy recites the story of Eve and RV Tang perfectly, not missing a single word. Jin Sakai stands speechless, completely blown away by this mind-blowing memory and genius that left everyone in awe. Mother Jin stands there looking smug about our bet, and since Jin Sakai is acting all shy, I know something strange is going on. Now he had no choice but to admit that our boy truly read the whole book in one crazy night. Before we leave our boy with Mother Jin, she cheekily grabs the whip and heads off to teach Lin Mu a hard lesson, though honestly, it's probably not going to be much fun for him. Jin Sakai, still trying to catch his breath from what just happened, asks our hero how he managed to pull off such an amazing trick. After his serious illness, our boy recovered with a mind so sharp he can remember everything he reads. Jin Sakai actually believes him because a past family member once found a second chance after facing death, and they say he gets that same special glow. So this tracks him, and Jin Sakai, honoring our boy's achievement, lifts the confinement order. Our boys are ready to step in and deal with Tian Hang while he figures out how to handle them. Jin Sakai told him to set his problem aside for now, pointing out that the kingdom has a new rule stopping nobles from messing with official government jobs. In just 3 years, 3 noble families lost their lands and titles for breaking the rule, proving just how serious the consequences can be. But our boy says no, vowing to take his revenge within 6 months because he knows he must fight his own battles before he can truly stand beside Jin Muin. Jin Sakai respects his determination, but she warns him that the road ahead will be tough. Tian Hang has the support of both the city lord and the Jiang family. That's a lot of powerful friends, but our boy doesn't care. He tells the count he'll take revenge the right way, leaving no room for tricks, with a plan that's beautifully simple. He's heading straight for Tian Hang's gambling halls in mythical Turtle City, where he'll keep racking up gold coins until the greedy owner can't take it anymore. This move will cost him money and risk his support, so our boy heads to one of Tian Hang's gambling halls where Tian Shu greets him, assuming he's there to play and confident he'll make him lose thousands. Thinking about it, he just can't help but grin. His happiness swells whenever our boy arrives, and the merchant doit owes you gold but begs for a loan just to gamble. Our boy begins by borrowing 1,000 gold coins, turning them into chips to play a simple game of dice. You take a guess on whether the roll will land low or high. Our boy puts all his chips down with a big smile for his first bet. The crowd and the beautiful dealer cheered when the dice showed 10 points. Our boy wins and doubles his chips to 2,000. That scumbag was acting like our kid winning 1,000 coins was no big deal, but he was actually just using it as bait to get us to follow him. The dice spun once more, he bet his entire fortune on a high roll, won again, and now he holds 4,000 gold coins. Tingan Shu stepped in to roll the dice himself, as the casino had already lost far too much money, and the owner was panicking over their tiny profits. That guy is so sure he can stop our boy because Chun Xiu is Tian Hang's trusted expert who can trick the dice into showing any number he wants, even changing the result after it lands. Our boy sees through the fool's trick and tells him he's done with dice, swapping it for a card game called Pow that feels like rolling the dice but lets the cheaters mark cards to rig the high or low bets. Hearing that, the bastard couldn't stop grinning, thinking he finally had his chance to beat up our boy. But our boy refuses to use the old deck, knowing that those dishonest cheats are always ready to trick him. Once our boy checks the new deck and sees it's clean, the game starts. With his X-ray vision, our hero finds this game no big deal at all. Tian Shu shows off a powerful hand to make our boy realize it, so without even peeking at his own cards, he confidently bets another 1,000 gold coins. The crowd stares in shock, wondering how anyone could act so crazy by betting so much money to live like a king for just one game. But Tian Shu refuses to quit and accepts the challenge. When the cards are flipped over, our boy is the one who wins. The look of pure shock on Tian Shu's face was absolutely priceless. But this was only the start of Tian Shu's worst nightmare. Round after round, our boy keeps his head down, never peeking at his cards, and just throws down 1,000 gold coins every single time. And he wins every single time until the crowd starts shouting that he is the gambling god. Over here, Tian Shu is losing his mind. Our lad has cost him over 10,000 gold coins. The sum was so huge he was certain Tian Hang would kill him. Now this jerk doesn't have the courage to keep going, so he calls it quits and walks outside. While Tian Hang and the Su family head grin at the mansion, they're just waiting for our hero to fall. Everyone's certain he'll be swallowed up by his gambling debts in a heartbeat. But their tiny party quickly fizzles out when a frantic Tian Shu storms in. The mood changes instantly as Tian Hang, already angry at how nervous he looks, snaps at him and demands to know how much our boy lost, expecting around 10,000 gold coins, enough to ruin the count's mansion and kick our boy right out. While those fools dream of hurting our boy, this poor guy on the ground is shaking like a leaf, too scared to tell them that our boy didn't lose. You walk away with 16,000 gold coins. Tian Hang's laughing, then suddenly freezes like he is stuck in midair. He looks at Tian Shu with a face full of disbelief, like he just heard the stupidest joke in the world, and asks the question again. Tian Shu then fills him in on the entire tale. Just as he spoke, the entire room fell into a heavy, sudden silence. Tian Hang snatches him by the collar and screams about how our guy somehow won a pile of cash equal to his entire year's pay. He starts doubting if the guy cheated or pulled a trick, but Tian Shu is rolling with it, insisting it was a clean win. Tian Hang shoved him out of the way and whirled around to Su's head, asking in disbelief, "Didn't you say that guy was just a loser? When did he turn into a monster?" While the Su family heads stood there just as confused, with no idea what was happening. That's when Su Kenshin steps in and tells them that getting angry won't solve anything, so they should go see it for themselves. Tian Hang snaps to his feet instantly, ready to charge right out the door. Su Qianin tells him not to forget his backup, the city lord and the prefect mansion. Tian Hang nods and dashes off toward Fortune Casino. When he arrived, he found a huge crowd waiting for him. One of them spun around to face the crowd, then turned back to demand money from him while he was still trying to figure out what was going on. Our boy pushes through the crowd to tell him that he won 19,000 gold coins and is ready to take his prize right now. Tian spins around to glare at the unlucky guy and demands, "What is this 19,000 he's talking about? Didn't you say it was only 16,000? Our boy explained everything, revealing that while they were waiting, he won another 3,000 gold coins. But those guys bet against him and took the money, leaving Tien to cough up a total of 26,000 gold coins in the end. When Shan Hang heard the price was 26,000 gold coins, the scoundrel nearly had a heart attack because that sum wiped out nearly half his savings, leaving him on the brink of ruin. Even though he usually makes plenty of money, he still has hundreds of people depending on him to take care of. Losing 26,000 gold coins would truly leave him broke. He asked our boy to come inside for a chat so he wouldn't look bad in front of everyone. Our boy is okay with it, but the gamblers are screaming, "You can't leave! You're stuck here until you exchange those gold coins," since they fear our boy and Tian Hang might strike a secret deal to betray them. Our boy shouts that they will get their money back, and since he is now the Count's son-in-law and they owe everything to him, everyone chooses to believe him despite his past reputation as a fool. As they step onto the second floor of Fortune Casino, Chan Hang's smile drops away, his face freezing as he glares at our boy and scoffs at his cheap tricks, daring him to ruin the Count's reputation by breaking the Count's legs and doing something no Jean family member has dared in a century. Our boy knocks some sense into him, reminding him that while the Count's mansion has a name to uphold, my own reputation is something I can easily let go of. He realized his reputation was already ruined, so with nothing to lose, Chan suddenly choked up and hung up, ending his pointless arguments. But then that bastard told our boy to forget about his 19,000 gold coins, since he wouldn't even get 1,900 back no matter how hard he begged. And while breaking Qian Shirsun's leg was off the table because money could be earned back, losing his reputation was a game where everything he had would be gone forever. Our boy just laughed and corrected him, saying he didn't want the 19,000 gold coins alone, but also demanded that Tian Shirsun's legs be broken. This really made the bastard angry, so he told our boy that he'd never give him even a single gold coin. Then he strolls over to the window, lifts the glass, and tells the gamblers their gold coins will all be made good. The crowd roars with excitement as Tian Hang takes the floor. This breaks our boy's plan to use the gamblers' power against him. Plus, Tian Hang knows those gamblers will eventually lose their money back because no one can win for long. He gave our boy a sneaky grin, convinced he had won. Our boy gives a loud clap. What a move. Then he questions Chan Hang, asking if he forgot that as long as other casinos stay open, he can keep winning and bring the gamblers right along with him to do the same. He spins around and yells to the gamblers outside, "Don't go! I'll keep guiding you to win." And soon enough, our boy's lucky streak goes on, so the crowd goes crazy, since it's easier to win by just following him than picking up cash, and he never wins by himself. He gathered hundreds of people to gamble with him, and soon Tian Hang lost another 7,000 gold coins because even though he only bet one coin at a time, the rest of the money was won by the gamblers. When he sees this, his adopted son Chan Shay dashes downstairs to take our boy away, but our boy instantly flips into his acting persona, feigns weakness, and asks, "What are you going to do? Do you want to hit me? My body is so weak that a single push is all it takes to send me tumbling to the ground. Whoever dares to hurt the Count's son-in-law will find my wife hunting down his whole family." This shameless act makes Tian Shu so angry that she points to the boy and screams, "So what if I take action and have my guards throw him out?" But then the guards surround and protect the boy instead, and thousands of gamblers swarm forward to form a shield around him, screaming that anyone who touches Xinlang will have to walk over their own dead bodies, leaving Tianyi stunned and at a loss for what to do next. Right then, Tian Hang steps out and declares that the day's over, sending everyone home to come back tomorrow and claim their prize money. As the others got ready to explode in anger over closing the casino right when they were losing, our guy simply suggested they try the other casinos owned by Tan Hang instead. Then the bastard ordered Chan Shi to tell every other casino to shut down for the day. Tan Hang can only announce that all other casinos are temporarily closed, a heartbreaking decision that costs him over 60% of his daily income, leaving him to regret not dealing with our boy permanently as the losses pile up. But that guy had no idea that our boy was about to become his least of worries, since those 5 gambling halls made up 60% of his income, and once they shut down, his money dried up almost instantly. Just as things seemed to hit rock bottom, a fatal blow strikes him from a new direction, and a messenger arrives with news that Zhang is summoning him. He walks to the Exu's home and finds the family leader waiting inside. He asks if what he heard is really true. Tian Hang nods to confirm he's closing his gambling halls, but shutting them down is a much bigger headache than just losing money. Before, he promised to give 35% of his pay to the Zhang family for protection, but now their agents want him to accept the boys' rules, and Tian Hang simply cannot agree to that. He warned that breaking Tian Shirsun's legs would crush the spirits of my men and ruin my reputation, for he is one of my finest adopted sons. Suddenly, a voice from next door tells him he has to agree to it no matter what. It's Zhang, who keeps talking and warns him not to wait around since every day he delays, he's losing money. It's better to agree now so that one day we can kill Shenlang, who is just a small threat, and let you take your revenge on our real target, the Count's mansion. Once we bring down the Count's mansion and take back his land and army, you will be the new deputy lord, Tian-Hang. After pondering it for a long time, he finally agrees, and soon Tian-Hang comes back to the casino to say he's ready to take on his condition, promising to publicly break Tian Shersen's legs and tell him to stop causing trouble. But nah, our boy isn't letting this guy get away with it. So he steps up and says, "Things have changed. Your adopted son Tian She screamed at me, wanting to strike me while pointing a finger at my head. So I decided his arms and legs had to be broken as well." Tian-Hang feels a rush of blood to his head as he hears what his son says. Seeing Tian-Hang stay quiet, our boy says, "If you don't agree, I'll change the deal, and then it'll be like breaking the legs of EV1, the one who ever visited my house." Tian-Hang could hold back no longer and finally let go. In his mind, he lunges at our boy, clamping one hand on his head and the other on his waist before ripping him clean in two. Tian-Hang goes wild in his mind, but this violent fantasy is just Tian-Hang's imagination, and he has no choice but to live with it. Tian-Hang stared at our boy for a long time before finally giving in, agreeing to his demands to break Qin Shisan's legs and Qin Anshi's limbs in public, though he still didn't fully grasp just how ruthless our boy really was. Our boy declares that the Black Clothes gang must be driven out and left alone, and if they aren't miserable enough yet, he'll be back to cause trouble, causing Tian-Hang to collapse with his head in his hands while the boy, though furious, accepts all the demands because he has gone too far to turn back. Then, we jump forward in time to the entrance of the Fortune Casino. Tian Shersen and Qian She are bound up for everyone to see, while that scumbag Tian-Hang is putting on a show. He steps closer to both his sons to give a heartfelt speech about how much he loves them and how they were his favorites, but he can't stop the situation because neither wants to listen to anything from a man they now see as a traitor. So he stepped out to the crowd and acted out a scene where his two sons held secret grudges against our boy, plotting revenge behind his back that nearly caused a disaster, claiming Master Shenlang was not just the summoning law for the mythical Turtle Count's mansion but also his close friend, and since they attacked him, he had to punish them to keep family discipline. Then he told his servant to grab the stick, and they both marched out carrying it. In the next instant, Tian-Hang swings the stick down hard on his own legs, shattering them to break Tian Shersen's. From the first second to the very end, Tian Shersen only lets out a low grunt, never letting out a scream of agony. When they saw this, everyone was totally shocked. Tian-Hang then looks over at Tian She. He grabs the stick and brutally crushes it down on Tian She's legs. Then, with another savage blow, Tian She's arms are shattered. And this guy was way more expressive than Tian Shersen. He let out a loud scream and then fainted right away because the pain was too much for him. Everyone around Twitch, especially the Black Clothes gang warriors, stared with faces full of worry. As Tian hangs his adopted sons from the tree, a cold shiver runs down everyone's spine because one person's bad luck seems to drag the others down with it. How faithful Tian Shizhen and Qian Shi had been, only to be the first ones thrown away the moment trouble showed up. Everyone is terrified they might be the next target. And from that moment on, Tian Hang's power crumbles as the Black Clothes gang turns against him. After Tian Hang snaps the legs of his two adopted sons and grins, "Are you satisfied now?" Our boy returns a wicked smile and says, "I'm satisfied, but there are still some loose ends to tie up," causing Tian Hang's face to drop as he warns that our boy is pushing his luck. But nah, our boy doesn't care, and he tells Tian Hang he's not asking for much since Tian Hang still owes him a massive 19,000 gold coins. Tian's mind raced with worry, thinking about how our boy had already cost him tens of thousands of gold, leaving him wondering where he could possibly find more to give. And since our boy is a master of twisting the truth, he asks, "How about this? You start by handing me 2,000 gold coins, and for the rest of the 17,000, just write an IOU, our boy said, leaving the furious gambler no room to breathe as he immediately demanded money or else, threatening that one day he might stumble back into the casino and start whining about how late it is, how his wife is probably worried at home, and how cold food tastes bad. Those words shattered Tian Hang's final shred of patience. He grabs a stick, can't take it anymore, and swings it hard at our boy to smash his head. However, this whole crazy scene is just another dream in Tian Hang's head, a man who really needs some help, before one of his adopted sons steps in to hand him a note. Tian Hang glances down at the note and reads what it says. "Shenlong's warning is serious. You must hand over the dirty casino cash now, or the Count's strict family will punish you soon." Tian Hang gazes up at the second floor, knowing it is Zhang Jin's command. Tian Hang, so mad he was shaking, snapped his stick in two right there. With a clenched jaw, he relents to our boy's request and commands his adopted son to fetch the gold coins. Not long after, a chest overflowing with gold coins and an IMU appear right in front of our boy. But everyone knows the IU probably won't be paid back. Our boy grabs the IU, takes a quick look, and then pops open the boxes to reveal heaps of gold coins. The bright golden light is so strong it makes everyone's eyes water. For every dollar our boy pockets and every victory he claims now, his downfall will be all the worse when he finally goes back to the Count's mansion. He knows this will ruin the Count's home forever, so he frames the casino as a moral crisis, asking how many lives have been destroyed and families torn apart, before forcing that greedy man to do the hardest thing possible. He stepped up to the crowd and talked endlessly about how he didn't care about the money, calling it just dirt, and insisted he wasn't there to win cash but to bring justice to everyone. My father-in-law, the Count, always taught us to treat every person like our own child. He says this, then snatches up a handful of gold coins and tosses them into the air for the crowd to catch. Everyone who lost something will get it back. The crowd erupts in excitement, diving and scrambling to grab the gold coins our boy just tossed up there. Tan Hang stares at the man, who looks like he's about to burst. Our boy didn't just break his adopted son's legs. He used his money to win over the people's hearts. This wasn't just a slap in the face to who he is, but it also made him look like he had no brain at all. Tan Hang is already struggling to keep his frustration in check, but by now he simply can't hold it back anymore. He throws up blood in a fit of rage. Meanwhile, inside the casino, Jang Jin watches the scene and is a bit shocked by our boy's moves. But in the next moment, he curls his lips into a grin, turns to Mayor Lu, and asks if Xinlang is especially vulnerable to misfortune in such chaos, revealing that this ugly bastard clearly understands what Jang Jin wanted to say. As the crowd fought over the gold coins below, they knew that if a stampede happened, no one would ever blame them. If our boy gets accidentally crushed, it will look like just a bad accident, and they'll even blame the Count's mansion because he's the one who caused the stampede in the first place. Mayor Lu warns that a stampede is just a normal disaster where dozens or even hundreds will die, leaving Xinlang and the Count's mansion in no position to escape the blame. Jang Jin can't believe how cold-blooded Mayor Lu is, but he doesn't care since a few deaths are just the price they're willing to pay to get what they want. Outside, thousands of people cheer and shout, "Long live Xinlang." But within the chaos, Jang Jin's arranged group quietly melts into the crowd. As soon as they reach our boy, they intend to shove away his 4 guards, knock him down and start a huge scene. Our boy instantly feels the danger, and with his sharp mind, he remembers that many of the faces he is focusing on were the ones at his wedding. It's clear Naten is the man who hangs criminals, and our boy instantly senses their plan, so he slaps his hands hard and yells, "Quiet!" to freeze the crowd, who all stare at him in sudden silence. Our boy holds up an empty box to show everyone that he has given away every single gold coin. But while Song Jin's few followers still scream for the gold coins, the mayor's planted thugs are shouting that our boy can give out even more. Hearing that, our boy just smiles and hands over the IOU, refusing the gold and insisting the debt be cleared so the money can help the poor families of mythical Turtle City, which instantly makes the entire crowd cheer wildly. Spotting a few disguised men pushing through the crowd toward him, our boy instantly sprints to the 2nd floor of Fortune Casino, where he had already used his X-ray vision to find Mayor Lu hiding upstairs. While Mayor Lu stands upstairs in shock, realizing our boy is dragging him right into this, just as he tries to flee through the back door, our boy has already made it to the 2nd floor. He snatches Mayor Lu and drags him to the window to shout at the crowd outside to come and look. In that split second, the few men outside froze in fear, terrified to stir up any more trouble. Then our boy hands the deed to Mayor Lu before the crowd and declares that even a humble person like him could stand up to Tian Hang the bastard, leaving the mayor so stunned he can't believe what he just heard. What started as just a scrap of waste paper has now become a debt he is forced to repay. Right now, Mayor Lu thinks our boy is a deadly snake that eats people for nothing. If he says no to the IU, his name will be ruined, so he forces a smile and promises our boy he won't let him down. With that, our boy turns to the crowd below, shares a few kind words, and then walks away. Meanwhile, back at the legendary Turtle Count's grand mansion, Jinsei paces the floor nervously, shouting at his servants to tell him if the boy has come back yet. He worries about his son's safety because Tian Hang has powerful enemies like the cunning Mayor Lu and the ruthless Jang Jin working for him. Mother Jin told Jin not to worry, reminding her that with Xunlang and the Count's mansion behind her, that scoundrel Tian Hang wouldn't dare push things too far. Just then, a servant rushes back with urgent news. Jinsei eagerly asks how things went and if anyone was hurt, but Jin Hui quickly reports that nothing bad happened. In fact, their young friend went so far as to bankrupt Tian Hang and publicly break the legs of Tan Shizhen and Tian Shu. When they heard that news, Mama Jin and Jin Sakai were left stunned. They couldn't believe that our boy, all by himself, took down Tian Hang all on his own. The Count then called Jin Hui into his room to hear the full report, and the young man did as he was told. He told him the whole story, from our boy's clever tricks to his knack for turning things around. Jin Se is thrilled that our boy kept the mansion's honor intact, but he's still itching to punch him because today was way too risky. Anything could happen, so he decides to teach our boy a lesson, fearing that without it, he might get even more reckless down the road. Then, just as night falls, our boy sneaks back into the empty mansion and thinks he's safe, only to be caught by Jin Sakai, who has been waiting and declares that the gambling god is back. Our boy is instantly shocked to find his father-in-law hiding behind the door to ambush him. No matter what, our boy quickly owns up to his mistake, and Jin Sakai starts yelling at him, but before he can say much more, the boy bows again in apology and acts as if he is perfectly obedient. It's obvious Jin Sakai won't let our boy go just like that. But since our boy keeps owning up to his mistakes, Jin Sakai had nothing left to say. Just then, Mother Jin steps in to make peace, insisting that our boy meant no harm. Pretending to be angry, she scolds Shinlang for going to casinos and threatening to punish him, but then she checks on our boy and asks if he is hungry. Jin stands speechless, wondering why you, who are usually so strict with your own son, suddenly treat your son-in-law with such kindness. With anger boiling inside him, Jin Sakai grabs our boy's hand and declares, "Starting today, you are grounded again. You can wander through the mansion, but you must not step outside the count's door." And when our boy asks what he needs to do to be allowed out, Jin Sakai replies coldly that there are no rules, only the need to behave and prove himself before he is finally free, leaving our boy stunned. Jin Sakai knows that while the day out was spectacular, getting confined again is better than letting Chan Hang's group take drastic actions that could be too late to save our boy. So she decides to be thorough and orders everyone to keep a close watch on Shinlang. Everyone spoke at once as our little one felt tears welling up, realizing that the man who had been on top just hours ago was now locked away while they watched our boy sulking, and somehow that old man seemed happy about it. But Jin Sai still feels like something is missing. Then we jump forward to find the Count's son getting his daily whipping, and the funny part is he doesn't even realize he's getting so much attention because his clever tricks just make his own son look incredibly silly by comparison. But when our boy comes back to the courtyard, he sees Jin Muin standing there in full armor. Curious about why Jin Muin wore armor at home, our boy asked, only to learn that she had been ready to lead troops into the city to save him at a moment's notice. Our boy is shocked and warmed by what he sees. He chooses to help Jin Muin take off her armor before they head out for a meal together. Jin Muin didn't say no. She opened her arms and let the boy help her. Once we took off Jin Muin's armor, our boy started breathing much faster. Our boy stares in awe at Jin Muin's snake-like waist, long powerful legs, and explosive figure, and honestly, who can blame him? Our boy calmed down, thanked Jin Muin, and she just shook her head, saying it was nothing but telling him she was proud of his bravery today, while warning him to think twice before acting again. Then that bad guy grabbed Jin Muin in a tight hug from behind. Jin Muin stiffened as she felt our boy standing right there beside her. She turned bright red inside, though her face stayed calm. But then that bastard decided to act brave, and Jin Muin felt our boy's hands slipping down. Jin spun around, seized the boy's hands, and demanded to know exactly what he thought he was doing. Our boy fired back, "But he couldn't blame me since your skin is so smooth that my hands slid down all by themselves," which was totally unintentional until he told her to chop his hands off next time he does this. Jim Mulan just told the boy not to let it happen again after hearing his weak excuse. They reached the dining room, but that bastard still hadn't learned his lesson. So Jim Bulin grabbed our boy's hand and pressed it down on the table. She looked at him and said, "Maybe it would be better if you didn't have this hand." To which our boy, looking perfectly calm, asked, "How can you take a man's words seriously?" Then she stepped aside and let our boy eat. After eating, Jin Muin put her armor back on, and our boy asked where she was going. Jim Muin told him that she was leading the cavalry to keep watch along the coast. She waved goodbye, told him to stay home and cause no trouble while Fatty, just finished his mixed doubles punishment, was off taking arithmetic lessons. Even though the kingdom's big tests didn't ask for math, noble families loved it because it was super useful for real life and helped sharpen their minds. The tutor was Su Wenhua, the most famous math teacher in mythical Turtle City who also ran the Count's household accounts. Right now, Fatty felt terrible because his parents had hit him with no reason at all. He endured so many whippings that he began to wonder if he was truly their son or just a stress-relieving doll. Su Wenhua claimed that Shinlang was the one who knocked Fat Tai down. Fatty was shocked to learn that Su Wenhua had revealed our boy's past failures, which forced his sister Jin Muin to marry a worthless man. Today's beating happened because Shinlang lost his money at the casino, so the others, unable to handle that guy, decided to take it out on Fatty instead. When he heard that, Fatty's face turned dark. Right then, Swan Shirao gave a quiet nod to the servant standing nearby. The servant whispered to Fat Tai that he'd seen Bing crying all alone, and when pressed, she refused to speak, hinting that it was because our boy had been bothering her. Fatty, who always thought of Bing as his own sister, got so angry he was ready to teach our boy a lesson. After hearing what Fatty was planning, Bing raced to the boy's room to warn him that Fatty wanted to fight him. Our boy was surprised to hear